What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode with AB Investments. First of all, I want to wish each and single one of you a happy 4th of July. Please, 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 please enjoy it with your loved ones and your family. Eat a lot of good food, and you guys noticed the S's. AB is not running on much sleep because I've been enjoying a lot of festivities. I feel a little bit down now because it's catching up to me, but in the same time, I feel a little bit down that one of my close friends, received not so much of a pleasant news. So may the Lord be with him and his family in these, I guess, tough moments, and especially when it's the time of like a holiday and celebrations and all this stuff. So I wish the best and best and best for him, and also for all of you guys. Now, again, this video will serve as hopefully like reminding some people and all the family what to see, what to expect, what to think about this case with AMC. Also, some very, very, very interesting revelations and things that I anticipate to happen in the broader market, especially with the S&P 500 and the SPY. You guys have been lately, used to AB giving you guys some predictions on that stuff. So, and it's been panning out. So with that being said, here's what AB thinks is going to happen with AMC as far as like this upcoming week and what's happening with the court. So first of all, the judge has said, as we listened to the last week, I've kept up, on Thursday and Friday with the hearing. And I was able to hear that at the end of the case, the judge said that she will not be passing any, judgments down or anything anytime before the 4th of July, which by now is old news to everybody because that stuff caught fire all over Twitter and everywhere. However, there's some confusions. I want everybody to know that from this point, even until the judge comes out with what I think will be called a preliminary, is that one correct? Like hearing, or like not the hearing, a decision, that it would take up to 90 days for the actual decision to be put in writing, finalized, and processed. So we could anticipate, me personally, I'm anticipating stuff like that would definitely get the stock to be very volatile because, the shorts, and we will get into that right now, shorts are using a lot of those tactics, the decision, the media will put it out on, the judge posts on the docket that her decision is for this or for that. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking about, what do you think the judge is going to do? What do you think the judge is going to say? And I would like for each single one of you guys to be as optimistic as possible. It doesn't matter what agenda you're following or what would you like the decision to be. At the end of the day, the decision is not ours, it's hers. So you can do yourself a good service by not wasting as much time thinking about what she's going to decide, but more like decide on what will you do based on the decision. And this is why I'm coming up with this video, to tell you what I'm anticipating, that if she comes out with a decision, that it will not be finalized, no matter what the decision is, and all the way for up to that 90-day cycle where it will finally be put in fine print and signed upon and all that stuff, because it has to be taken up with some hierarchies and all that stuff. However, if things change, I just know that even when she puts her statement on the docket, it's not going to be something where it's just finalized all in one day. So there's time for people to make plans or however way they want to react to things and all that kind of stuff. And that's crucially important based on whatever strategy you want to take, based on if you think that this court hearing is very important and is life-changing or investment-changing decision based on this court. And many of us think so. So therefore, just stay tuned with that and be well balanced. Don't waste too much time thinking about what she's gonna come up with. More so, think about your strategy of how you will react to whatever she comes up with. Draw both outcomes in the back of your head and see how you will react to both. And keep that little cushion of like the best case or the worst case scenario of how much time it will take till it finalizes in. However, as of today, I already see the BS, see the article of Citigroup opens up a downside 30-day catalyst watch for AMC shares, sees downside pressure in coming days market. And that's what Market Watch says. So this is the BS at its finest. We used to this for about 3 years almost now for some of us. And that's the thing, guys. Citigroup, of course, look at the timing, comes up and says, okay, I'm opening up a downside that basically downgrading AMC down to like what I think around like $1.65, which is nothing new. They've always said we're worth a penny, we're worth nothing. Some said $1, some said 50 cents, some said $2, and that was like a big jump to the upside, I guess. But those are all shills, my humble opinion. However, opening up a 30-day downside, it's like the bigotry here. It's like they do this, they influence the markets, the institutional side, and the algorithms of the market because they put out negative media, press, stock goes down, or certain institutes or certain algorithms will react to those articles and this negative press, and then it brings it down. Next thing you know, that's what we're anticipating here is when you see something like this, you can look like here, this is AMC on the monthly time frame. I know today we did not pretty bad for a half day, but it was technically like almost about an even, like we almost moved percent up, which is good. Anything green is good. But closing that, looking on the monthly frame, we're making constantly higher highs and higher lows. As you can see here, we don't even need to do much on that. It's going to be crucially important to see what happens here in this level, because it was a very like at $4, and it's so funny that we closed here exactly at 441, and it's just so ironic that we closed at 444. So at 441, it's an interesting place where we had some sort of momentum to the upside or to the downside in the past, for AMC from that level. So we'll see what will happen. Will they bring us down according to this negative press? Will that be adding on to the pressure of negative media, bringing down the stock price, until the judge comes out within that month, basically time frame, and finalize and all that stuff? Quite possibly. But most importantly, hopefully this video can serve as a little more, not as deep into looking into things, because the deeper you look into this, I feel personally like you will get a lot more confused, or you will start confusing yourself, because there's so many loopholes and there's so many holes in this whole thing, and many of them no one have the answer to until they fill in the blank. And what I think filling in the blank is when the judge actually puts her decision out there, and then how long it'll take until it actually gets finalized and documented and passed, which will obviously affect at that point what my strategy would be for depending on what the decision was. Now that's that for AMC. Good stuff, not bad. I think that we're approaching a good end, we approached a very good Q2 sales and all that stuff. So we'll be coming up like in the next few days, we'll be hearing more about that stuff, and I think that's going to be cool for us and good for us. Here's the best part, and the irony of how like AMC and Citigroup, AMC like does its Citigroup puts it for a month time frame where they put a downgrade on us and down sell. However, if you look here, we have our next earnings in August 2nd to August 7th, between August 2nd to August 7th. So like, again, that's the bigotry. It's so crazy how on July the 3rd, Citigroup puts that and says for up to a month. It's like almost, you can't make the shit up. It's like almost like literally, it's like they're gauging that, because it's no secret. Everybody knows by now that the Q2 numbers are going to be way better than what we had all the way till pre-pandemic, perhaps even better than pre-pandemic levels, and by a mile almost. So therefore, we're definitely not underperforming in Q2, and it's the fact that Citigroup for a month. Okay, so maybe perhaps we'll be consolidating for a month, maybe 3 weeks. Institutes react to earnings and stuff, maybe always a week and a half in advance, sometimes a couple weeks in advance, so that by the time people jump in, the earnings is coming right around the corner. Retail starts to jump in. Institutions have already taken their positions. The price have already surged to a certain level, and then that way they can pull the rug. Because at the end of the day, for me, it doesn't matter when it involves AMC, because at the end of the day, I'm in this for the long run, for the MOAS. I was never in this for profit here or profit there, or $2 here or $5 there, or 30 cents here and 40 cents there, given where that's where we at now. Now, looking at the big player of the day, and this one, if the whole community, the family they have to excuse me for this one, because I forgot to alert everybody on this. We were so busy last week with the court, and it so passed over my head. I was so happy that on one end, I was so happy that I had a few call options on Tesla that expired by the end of July, because somewhere this last month in June, it was like in the last week of June, Tesla announced that they were going to report their second quarter deliveries. And the easiest part about this is that it wasn't no big, like on a technical analysis perspective, you can see that the chart is bullish. It was in a bull run. I was telling you guys that in many lives before, so feel free to go and look at the other lives to see exactly what my case was for Tesla, SPY, NVIDIA, and all those. Seeing that's on a technical standards. Now, from a realistic standpoint, where it's like around you can see it. You can see around, like I'm in the Midwest, and I could see Teslas all over the place. They even have Uber Teslas now in Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's the crazy part. It was no secret to me that, okay, I could put 1 and 2 together. This quarterly deliveries, vehicle deliveries, is going to be a lot higher, or at least much better than whatever it was before. Indeed, it was. I didn't think it was going to be that good, 85 to 89% surge. But guess what? Hey, it happened. I apologize again. I really meant to remind you guys or tell you guys about that last week. Unfortunately, Thursday and Friday, you guys remember, no sleep on Thursday and then barely any sleep on Friday. And the court, all the thoughts were with that. We're all mainly AMC, and it sidetracked me from reminding me to tell you guys about this. So I apologize, but guess what? There's a lot of interesting things coming up still and happening. I think that Tesla still has room to move. But the big news is going to be when it actually retraces. And that's where the big news will be. Now, here's something cool I will leave you guys with on the SPY. Another revelation that I've seen. Some of you remember, I was probably one of the only people that was saying that the SPY from a month ago, all the way literally from a month ago, and I was updating weekly that we were going to move higher and higher, while majority of the market, majority of the world, realistically so, predicted that we were going to be brought right back down, simply because of looking at the inflation, looking at the rate hikes, looking at all that kind of stuff. It makes it's not a fundamental market. It makes no sense that it is. But the reason why the SPY, and I predicted that the SPY was going to be moving up, and it did. In fact, today we made a new 52-week high, but in the pre-market, so it didn't count as a 52-week high. We ended up on the high on the day, like a few cents below that, and I think that's something that will be broken. I will show you guys a case here in a sec, but I will double down on exactly, and again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is what I just say for myself. I'm fact checking myself here, as I've always told people, fact check me. And it's always good to know, how we can learn together or grow together, or, if there was something that was correct, how others can also learn from. And that's what I'm all about for the family and for the community. So I got the most wonderful family in the world. So on the SPY, you see here, this is what I saw. I see here like a top, and then it was brought down. This is on a monthly time frame. I see a top here, which was at that moment a 52-week high. In May, like, you know, the 22nd, sorry, May 19th. And excuse me. And then we had that retracement right here, which brought us right back up to here, which made another, like it was like a long wick. If you can see right here, long big candle that barely dropped, gave us another 52-week high at that moment. Now, here's what happened. If you look at this, or look at that, you can fast forward to here, where we actually made our most recent 52-week high, not counting today's pre-market. And then this represents, to me, represents this point right there. Then we had a retracement, which represents this point right there. And then we had an upward movement, which started on Monday. If you guys remember when I called out that we were at the support level, and I said a week and a half ago that we are at an interesting inflecting point, and that we were going to be either breaking down to fill in like so many different holes that we had, like this one has not been filled, and that's something that we're going to fill later down the line, I feel like. However, if we bounce up from here, then it will be back to what I predicted to be moving toward the new all-time high, which we are heading toward, not a 52-week high only, but an all-time high. And I know many of you are still going to be like, hey, B, we don't believe you still. We don't count. Well, made my case before. It happened. Made my case again. It also happened. And hopefully it happens again. But that's the way I see it. If it doesn't, again, this is the way I see it. Over here, I feel like we had this gap. And what I can expect for the SPY for the end of this week is two scenarios. Is either that we are here and we just made this top, which is barely above this older wick on the 52-week high. And then we do a retracement, which matches with the fact that we have to fill this gap right here. And which means by Friday of this week, either that we would somehow touch 438, maybe mid 437s by Wednesday or Thursday, and bounce right back up to the way I see it. Or that we are actually right here now, and we're beginning the small little, retracements, or more like consolidation, to ultimately move right back up and make an all-time high in this last little movement. Now, obviously, I could be wrong, I could be correct. However, on both scenarios, what I see is that the SPY is moving to make a new all-time high. That's AB's resting case. One thing I want to also tell you guys is, if you look and go back, and when I go back on a 5-year frame, for example, the SPY have never, ever, since 2008, 2009, broke under its 200-day moving average. That's mind-boggling for me. You look at that, that's mind-boggling. So we technically, since 2008 market crash, we have been on a bull market. You can make that case. Anybody that doesn't believe in analytics or numbers, I don't know what to tell you. But we barely in 2020, shortly lived, as you can see, had some momentum to be brought down. And I think that's when the feds came around and they're like, not so fast. And here's the crazier part. If you look at this is so crazy that it's so, like, right there. Like here, we had on the bottom of October 14th of 2022, which happened to be when the market switched from that day on. We were literally, the SPY was sitting on the 200-day moving average. Look at that wick right there. Bears were trying to bring it under to crash it, basically. And the bulls didn't allow it, or some unknown forces that means to do us harm didn't let that happen. And that's when the trend changed. And ever since then, look at that. We have been making higher highs, higher lows, And now we're most recently on this momentum run, which I feel like is going to ultimately take us past this point right here, which is at the 468, 469 range. And I will not be surprised if, ironically, the S&P 500 touches 500, which is so ironic. But if it does, it does. However, this signals something to me that, one thing, I know that the markets are way overbought. Two, we're not there yet. So for all of you bears out there, again, the time is coming. You're just too early. My humble opinion. If whatever it means or it's valued at, that's my humble opinion. I think that we still have room to go, and it's very reckless. I will not be getting right here into bear unless I'm doing daily options, which is what I do. You can definitely play in between resistance and support levels on a daily base, and buy whether puts or calls. It's up to you. Again, I play with my strategy. I don't know what yours is, but at least I'm putting something out there, and I don't know if it does you any good. Hey, hit the like button and perhaps subscribe to the channel and show some love. And then, as you can see, what I see here is that the next retracement would either have to be in the 350s, 360s, 370s, 380s. However, if our price action blows below the 200-day moving average, that's a video for another day. And I'll tell you guys. So put down in the comment section if you want to know what I see, how do I see it, when do I see it. I think that by the end of this week, we would have some sort of small retracement to fill in some gaps, and then continue moving up next week. I think moving us toward either breaking the all-time high next week or moving toward in that direction for sure. So with that being said, there was one more thing I wanted to show you guys. I want to always leave you with something. To all of you beautiful family members that wants to always walk away, I always want to feel like I'm leaving you with something so that you can make your portfolio a lot better. You can use it with your everyday trading. And this is a tip for you guys, all of you. I want you to always remember that if you look, and this is a tip for people who, this will help you with entries and exit points. Now, on a long period, not on the price action, because to read, to get in and get out to scalp, you'd have to get very good at price action reading. And that's a different deep analysis into candle reading and all that stuff, which is fun for the people that would love to learn. I wouldn't have any problem with it down the line after probably AMC finishes. However, if you look here, this is something that you always need to leave, like an earring in your ear, So what the tip is, this red line here is what I marked as what represents my 50-day moving average. If you notice, when you put on a daily chart or on the 5-minute chart or on the 1-minute chart, one thing, 15 or 30, whatever time frame, one thing you need to remember is that the price of the stock, whatever stock it is, it will always be hovering around the 50-day moving average. So for example, as you can see here, this, pay attention to the red line. And here, let me remove these other ones so that you guys can see better. Here we have Lucid. Look at this. Every time the stock moves up or down, it always finds a way to come back to meet its average, to get back to the 50-day moving average and meet it. And then it splits up again, depending on how high or how low. And then it comes back to meet it again. So right here, when somebody sees this, when someone who's beginning in the trading career, on a daily trade, for example, when I see the 50-day moving average and I see the price action is way further away from it, one thing I do know, as you can see here, it bottomed down here. And this is today's chart. So it bottomed down here. It came back to meet the 50-day. Bottomed down here and made a huge run to the upside. It came back to meet the 50-day. It made another run, It came back to touch the 50-day moving average, and then it went under, and then it came back to touch the 50-day moving average. So the point is, always see where the price is relatively to where the 50-day moving average. That's another thing that sometimes can give you a better scope picture to understanding where's this thing and what it's doing. If you like that tip, please put your comments down in the section below. Consider giving us a like, consider subscribing, and enjoy the holiday with your loved ones. Don't think about what the answer is going to be. Just plot your strategy for what's coming. In any way it comes, either way, bbgy Investments is always going to be here with all of you guys. Much love to all of you. bbgy Investments.